Oh, that was embarrassing. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, everyone. The Warriors decided not to celebrate the holiday. They did show up, but they didn't celebrate. That was embarrassing. The great news is Sophia Jones is here to prevent me from just completely losing my shit. We're going to recap this game and discuss what's next. I think that might even be more important here. But there were some bright sides in terms of young players showing up for garbage time. We got to break it all down and try to have a good time, even though the Warriors did not play ball. Let's get into it. It's the goal.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Let's go!
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you
It would be nice if the Warriors held this show. Welcome to the Golden Days. I am one of your two hosts for the afternoon, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow Sophia Jones on Twitter at SophiaJones_2. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild, over on Twitter at SurfJournalist. And I'm going to start being active on Blue Sky because, Sophia, your dad joined this program earlier today. That episode is now up and running. And it's not time sensitive. I made sure of that. So if you watch it tomorrow, a few days from now, it'll be just as relevant as it was today. But your dad's on Blue Sky, and apparently that is the spot. I might go there. I have an account now. It's at Golden Days. Sophia, are you on Blue Sky? Do you have an account there?
No, I'm not on Blue Sky.
I don't blame you. It's this whole social media thing is just out of control. It's ridiculous. But anyways, before we get started and recap a disastrous game for the Golden State Warriors, there is no way to positively spin that except for the garbage time minutes. But first and foremost, got to give some love to the sponsors of this program, and up in the batter's deck. He's ready to bat, or she ready to hit home runs, and that's Underdog Fantasy. I am elated and ecstatic to have them join this program as a sponsor. When you have a client as big as Underdog, you're going somewhere in a positive direction. And the premise is so easy. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I was learning that we got Underdog because I can actually play here in California. It's legal in over 30 states. You can click on that QR code if you want to download the app and start playing. And if you do, in fact, click on that QR code or use the promo code GSW, you will get a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. I got a 50% bonus on my deposit. I decided to make a deposit myself yesterday. Underdog is going to provide me with a little bonus to play for free, but I couldn't wait. And in fact, I'm going to look up right now because my bet, Sophia, for the game today for the Warriors and the Celtics, I went with 4 selections. And the premise for Underdog is very easy. It's all about whether a player is going to go higher or lower than a set amount. So my picks for tonight, and you could have different options, right? You have to make a minimum of 2 picks. The maximum, I think, is like 8, where you can win a ton of money if you nail a 8-player selection. I went with 4. I went with Stephen Curry getting over 4.5 rebounds. He got 3 tonight, so I got burned there. Now the good news is I had 4 picks. So all I had to do was get 3 out of 4 to win a little money. Underdog gives you that option. I went with the under on Guy Santos' scoring, which was 6.5. He scored 7. So I'm out. I lost immediately right there. Andrew Wiggins did not help me. I bet the over on him scoring 19.5. He scored 4. I only got 1 out of 4 today, and that was Kristaps Porzingis hitting higher than the 1.5 threes that he was supposed to nail. The point is, I lost, and I still had fun. And you can't too. I'm going to publish my picks regularly. Again, I did it today mainly because I just wanted to get this thing going. But the Celtics kicked the Warriors' ass. Regardless, go check out Underdog. It is fun. And have a good time. You remember to use the promo code GSW. We're also brought to you by Tom Rosanelli, more specifically, Dr. Tom Rosanelli. based in San Francisco, all about hair restoration needs. All you got to do is call the number right there, 415-931-9881, or visit rosanelli.com. Again, 415-931-9881, or visit rosanelli.com to get all of your hair restoration needs satisfied. Gentlemen, do not wait. The bald look is not a good look. Some of you might be able to pull off the bald thing. Not all of you can. Reach out to Dr. Tom Rosanelli. Again, 415-931-9881, or visit rosanelli.com. And last but not least, BetOnline, who continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. And I'm really sorry if you bet on the Warriors tonight. You did not win that bet. And we're going to talk about Warriors now. After one last mention of BetOnline, the game starts here. Sophia, this was painstaking. I thought the Warriors were into it and were being competitive for about a half. I think they trailed by 13 when the first half ended, and then that third quarter was a complete disaster. The Warriors were outscored in that third quarter, a quarter that once upon a time had the Warriors insignia written underneath 3Q, because the Warriors used to own the start of the second half. That was certainly not the case today. They got outscored in the third quarter, 43-24. This was brutal. I'm getting tired of hearing my own voice. So, Sophia, take it away. Your reaction to the Warriors getting their asses kicked tonight. Final score, 125-85, a 40-point loss. Brutal.
Yeah, it was a very rough watch, especially in that third quarter that you mentioned, where the Celtics really just ballooned their lead and the Warriors couldn't buy a bucket. I felt like that was the most prevalent theme throughout the whole game, is they went into too many droughts, offensive droughts, where they just were not scoring. I mean, if you want to look at some type of a bright side, it still is notable that Draymond Green was out, and so was Kuminga, Brandon Pajemski, Slow-Mo. So the Warriors are short bench, but still, this was a bad one.
Well, and you're right. We were talking in our pre-show meeting. Side note, Ryan Leong of NBC News Radio and Bay Area Sports Wrap. He's going to join us live from Chase Center in a little bit to maybe provide something interesting from the arena, because the game itself was not. But if there was any positive from this game, it was the fact that we saw minutes from Quentin Post. We saw, I don't know if Pat Spencer minutes are something we want to seek out. Moses Moody did get 31 minutes, 47 seconds of action, scored 13 points in those minutes. But really, if there was a positive, it was Quentin Post. It was it was us seeing actual real minutes from him. What was your reaction to Quentin Post playing 13 minutes, 45 seconds, 4 of 8 from the field, made 1 3-pointer. He was 1 of 4 from deep. Finished the game with 9 points, 3 assists, and a rebound. What was your analysis of Quentin? Did you like what you saw? Your thoughts?
I liked what I saw. It's hard to discertain a completely fair judgment because it was in garbage minutes, and he was playing against pretty much all Celtics bench players. But from the minutes, I mean, his shot looked good. He missed some threes, but the form and the mechanics all looked good. So could have been a little bit of nerves. But with his play, I would say I was satisfied for having this many minutes in an NBA game for the first time this season. There's only so much that you can expect from someone that's been in the G League for so long. But he stretched out the floor well. He played with good pace. I felt like he was smart about finding the right positions within the court to just reside in and not clog up the plane or just try to find some of those dump spots. But yeah, I would say I was satisfied with what I saw from Post today.
Yeah, and that's about the only thing that was in any regard satisfactory. I apologize, Fozzie, if there's an echo. I think I figured out, like, a couple people have been complaining about an echo on this show, and I think the virtual studio that we use, they changed the settings on me, and I keep forgetting to check this one box. Let me see if I could find right now. Okay, I hope that helped. I just checked a box that should reduce that echo. I don't know why the system unchecked that box. Anyways, I digress. This was Sophia. This was just brutal. I wrote a few notes here because the Warriors started the game being competitive. This game was close, and then about 2/3 of the way, about 7 minutes into the first quarter, Stephen Curry came out of the game, and the Warriors proceeded to go on this stretch. It was like 7 minutes, 32 seconds that was bookended by Kevon Looney hitting a layup. They go 7 minutes, 32 seconds without a single field goal. They had 1 point from a free throw, and then Kevon Looney made another layup. And that second layup was like somewhere in the second quarter. Nearly all of those minutes were without Steph. This team, I mean, it's look, we've talked about the white flag being waved, right? And the words that Steph Curry used a couple weeks ago or a week ago, whenever that was in Toronto, talking about how the team doesn't want to mortgage the future. What good is this? Like, if you're like, I mean, what is the benefit of sitting around waiting for your youngsters who, first of all, are almost all injured, or at least half of them are, in terms of not Trace Jackson Davis, I'm sorry, in terms of Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga. But look, what good is this? Like, this is not fun basketball to watch. I feel for Stephen Curry. I shouldn't have to feel empathy for Stephen Curry. He's set. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a fortune. He's got championships. He's got every accolade imaginable. Yet I'm watching him out there, and I feel for the guy because we all know he's a really genuinely good dude. I'm losing my mind here, Sophia. Like, what is your rationale? And I mean, what is the best thing you could come up with? Because I know this is a hard question. No one has an answer except for Joe Lacob and Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr., who is I am losing my mind in terms of frustration directed primarily at the front office. What is going on in their heads to think, let's just stand pat and do nothing? What do you think is going through their heads? Because this is maddening, Sophia.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you mentioned like the Steph comments and Steph saying he feels like they're in a solid spot, essentially. And the only reason I can think of him saying that would be because of how humble of a guy he seems. He doesn't want to throw anyone under the bus and actually speak what could potentially be in his subconscious. But in terms of the organization, I don't know what's to be said unless they figure that adding a piece would cause more harm than good, because they've already been kind of working with this group for this many months now. But that's the only thing I can really think of.
And then you have folks here like Uncle Looney, who incredibly, and I say it's sad that this individual is like honestly defending the Warriors doing nothing, writing here saying you can't force a team to trade someone to you. No shit, Sherlock. But this is a season where there are a lot of teams tanking, a lot of teams giving up assets for virtually nothing. We already saw it with the Dennis Schroeder trade, which, side note, in hindsight, didn't really pan out. It's not resulting in any positive outcomes, really, unless you're playing the Washington Wizards. Then Dennis Schroeder will give you 20 points. And the other team, you'll get a performance like tonight, where Dennis Schroeder finished the game 1 of 4 from deep, 3 of 8 from the field, a whopping 7 points. Dennis Schroeder had Al Horford defending him tonight, locking him down. That is who you traded for. My point is, there are still options out there. This Uncle Looney is a BS scapegoat excuse where you're defending Kerr in the front office for doing absolutely nothing. There are options out there. Portland will give you a lot for practically nothing. Toronto will give you a lot for practically nothing. The Bulls will give you a lot for practically nothing. And Sophia, I asked your dad this earlier. Mark Jones, the voice of the NBA, was on this show earlier, and that episode is now up and running. And I asked him, like I understand preserving your assets. I understand not mortgaging the future, but I am 99% certain you can get some help back if you give up a 2031 first round pick. That is the latest first round pick the Warriors can trade, because the NBA has protections in place for NBA organizations to not give away assets that go 10, 20, 30 years into the future. The furthest along you can trade for a draft pick is 7 years. And as of right now, the Warriors can trade a 2031 first-round draft pick and get some help back. This product is abysmal. And your dad agreed, because that makes sense. It's called common sense. It's called being rational. Why is the team not giving up a 2031 first-round pick to get some help for this team? I'm sorry for losing my mind here, Sophia, but what's your reaction to that?
No, just even like looking so far ahead to 2031 in a first round draft pick, even if the thinking might be, well, it's still a first round draft pick, it's also still in 2031. And Steph Curry only has a couple more years left in him, and the Warriors are in a win now situation. I don't think they need to prioritize their youth. I mean, it doesn't even really seem like that on the court with the minutes distribution with some of the younger guys. But I think that if the Warriors want to win another championship with Steph Curry, they need to make some trades that will involve some of those draft picks.
And apparently, there's a couple of new people in the show tonight. Like, for example, Cuz1998 is saying it's not that easy to make trades. I swear to God, Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s relatives are on the show tonight. They're trying to defend him right here. Because are you related to MDJ? Are you related to Joe Lacob? Because that's the exact rationale they have said publicly. And I know you're a new listener because this show is on 5 days a week, sometimes 6. We've covered ad nauseum a million different trades that this team can do. But just to satisfy your curiosity, besides the fact that trades are not rocket science, the Phoenix Suns just made a trade the other day. Tell me again, what was so hard about the Dennis Schroeder trade? Okay, that should be evidence enough that trades are not that difficult. And look, you want options here. The Raptors, at a bare minimum, Kelly Olynyk will make this team better, or Jakob Poeltl will make this team better. Portland, Jeremy Grant will make this team better, and you could also make a big trade with them. The Bulls literally just made Pat Williams available. I'm not saying get him, but again, anything at this point is better than nothing. More realistically, Nikola Vucevic would be the ideal trade. I guarantee you that you can get Vucevic if you're offering GP2, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, and a 2031 first-round pick. You can get Vucevic back, and suddenly you're at least competitive in games like these. Suddenly you're winning road games against the Raptors. It is absurd. Another relative of Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. in the chat tonight, Sophia Jones, saying if it was that easy, the Warriors would have it. No, it is that easy. They're not doing it largely because of Steve Kerr's peculiarities in regards to players he wants around Stephen Curry. That is really the root of this problem, is how picky Kerr is in terms of the players he wants around Steph, and he's very limited in his view of the personnel that he thinks would fit right. The point is, it is not that difficult to make these deals. There are the Brooklyn Nets just said that what's his name? Cam Johnson is available for 2 first-round picks. You're not doing that, and this is where you negotiate. But a 2031 first-round pick, sign me up. It's Cam Johnson. I don't know what I said. Did I say Cam Johnson? My point is, Sophia, is it that hard? Are these 2 trolls in the chat right now who are giving me great content here for me to go off? Thank you for that. Do you actually think that it's that difficult to make a trade in the NBA? And just a side note, folks, for the audience here, Sophia Jones grew up in the NBA. She's a child of the NBA. Like you've seen everything. From your perspective, Sophia, is it really that hard to make a trade?
My philosophy with this, and with a lot of things as well, is if someone is desperate and persistent enough to make it happen, then it'll happen. And that's kind of the thinking and logic that puts me in the minds of some of the front office people for the Warriors. It just might not be that sense of desperation and maybe just a lack of persistence in trying to get some of these things done. And like you mentioned, just with the number of teams that are out of it right now, there are a couple that you can pull from where if the Warriors are giving up basically nothing, or even if it is something, but it's just something that's not helping the team right now, for real, then I would say go for it.
Absolutely. By the way, I put the link in the chat. Uncle Looney, again, I know you're brand new, and I appreciate how frustrated you are. It sounds like you do love the Warriors, but you also are completely clueless. So come on the show. I will school you, educate you, and entertain you in the process. All you got to do is click on the link and come on the show so I can explain to you how, because this person's writing in the chat, they're hard capped. They literally made a trade a month ago for Dennis Schroeder. The hard cap does not matter if you can stay below it. Again, come on the show if you don't believe me. Sophia, do you mind if we bring audience members onto the show for now?
No, you're good.
Are you cool with that? Let's go to Cam Jones. Cam, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Yo. I ain't ready right now, but bring me back up in a minute. I definitely
you're good. You're good, man. It's okay. Just talk. Go for it. Oh, we lost Cam. Okay, well, Cam, try again. Try again in a minute or so when you feel better. And for anyone else who honestly does not believe, who honestly ignorantly believes that it is that hard to make a trade, come on the show so I can educate you, please, because it is not that hard to make a trade. It is absolutely ridiculous. So, Uncle Looney, again, one more time, thank you for the content. You're making this show interesting tonight in an otherwise boring night where the Warriors lost by 40 points. They can't add salary. That is why you make a trade where you bring back less negative salary, less salary. You can do that. That's an option for the Warriors. Come on the show so I can school you, please. I beg of you, please. Otherwise, shut the F up. And if you're going to continue to troll the chat, then I'm going to put you in timeout for a minute, and hopefully Cam will come back. Sophia, this is frustrating. What do you, Sophia? I feel like you've said before on this show that you have a lot of empathy, and we jive in that regard. Like, I'm a very empathetic person. Unless you're an absolute troll, then I do lose my patience. But for at least the good people out there, I have a lot of empathy. What is your message to the members of Dub Nation that right now are borderline, we'll say depressed? Let's leave it at that. I guarantee a lot of members of Dub Nation are depressed. What is your message to folks out there who feel like this is a lost cause? I'm delusional in that, or possibly delusional in that I still think there's hope for this team. I'm not waving the white flag. What's your message to Dub Nation, if any?
Yeah, I would just say definitely do remember that a lot of players are out and injured right now. And when this team looks healthy, it is a different team. So
yeah,
definitely got to throw that out there, and that it's still a long season. Playoffs still aren't until for a couple of months. Even All-Star break isn't here right now. So there's still time for stuff to happen. And yeah, it's just basketball.
Well, I'm going to add something to that. Sophia. If the Warriors right now, despite how awful they look tonight, despite the fact that they lost by over 50 to the Grizzlies a few weeks ago, they lost by 40 today on Martin Luther King Jr. Day at home to a Chase Center crowd that was listless. I really wish the crowd would actually make noise and say things instead of just sitting there sipping their white wine and counting how much money they have in their bank account. Actually be a fan and make some noise in that arena, because the silence, it's sad. That's not, the Warriors used to have a home court advantage, and they used to have a passionate fan base. I still think the fan base is passionate. I just think the most passionate ones can't afford to get into that arena anymore, and they're quiet. The ones who are there are not making noise. People should be booing. People should be yelling at Steve Kerr that he's failing at his job. We're not seeing any of that. And I guess I think of this largely because of the Clippers. Their home arena is so lively, and they've got that wall where people have signs up. There was somebody who, Sophia, I don't know if you saw this. The Clippers and the Lakers played each other, and there was somebody holding a sign on the wall of the Clippers home arena. What is it? Intuit Dome or whatever it's called. Yeah. And they had and I don't know if you saw this, but it was a picture of Anthony Davis, and they mimicked a hair clipper clipping the middle of his eyebrows, getting rid of the unibrow. It was so out there, but the point is the fans were loving it. They're engaged. I don't even see signs at Chase Center. I don't know, man. Do you notice the same thing? What are your thoughts on the Chase Center crowd?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No. It reminds me of a quote from a book I read, and it is the rapacious greed of capitalism is punishing. And that's a little bit of what we're seeing, where, like you mentioned, sometimes people are there at Chase Center more so for the spectacle and just, a casual good time and not for the basketball. On the other end, though, the Warriors do make it hard sometimes. And as a fan watching the game, it's hard when you're just so frustrated at something to continuously cheer and clap. So that's kind of my thinking and rationale behind that. But yeah, there have been moments where in Chase Center, I have felt kind of the Oracle-esque vibe. There have been times. But
Same.
And that's what makes me go back to my reasoning behind it could just be this team is just not really doing it as much.
Well, we're gonna mix it up. We're gonna give Cam another try. We haven't even named our player of the game yet, but Cam, it's all about the audience. You're ready now.
For
You're
sure.
ready now.
Hey man, you right. The fans ain't doing shit. You see, I started a GoFundMe so I could get right on Steve Kerr's ass and start talking to him and let the fans know he needs to be fired. Why the hell is Wiggins starting at the 4? He puts us in bad positions to start off being trash. And he's been doing this for years. I don't see how people keep saying it's not the coach. The coach makes the lineups. He puts the people out there. So if he isn't starting Buddy Hield and Steph Curry and Schroeder at the same time, or Pods at the same time, this shit make no sense. When we got Schroeder, we all thought, well, most of us thought he was going to be running the non-Curry minutes. I'm like, okay, that could be good. No reason he should have ever started with Steph. Steph does not need another small ass guard. When Clay was here, he was taller. He could do his thing. Kerr is the main problem of all our issues. I don't know why people act like they're so slow and can't see it.
Well, this program is, with the exception of this program, but I hear you, man. Look, the only reason why I'm not screaming that every single minute of every day is because Kerr's realistically probably not going anywhere. And he's also Stephen Curry's guy, right? And that's probably the biggest reason why he's not going anywhere is because Stephen Curry's vouching for him. With that said, I'm trying my best.
Look at us Twitter fingers now while he's sitting on the bench looking stupid. That's my guy. I hate to even talk bad about him, but he don't say nothing. Like, he knows that they should not be running these small ass lineups. When we blew the most double digits leads the last 2 seasons, we got the most clutch games. It's for a reason. When we play big, when we got the right size, we mostly be winning. We be up. Then as soon as the second quarter start coming and he does his rotations, he goes super small, and then we start getting our ass whooped. So it's like I don't see how people don't see this.
Cam, you brought up a good point, and I'm going to ask Sophia first this, because there's so much to break down here. So Andrew Wiggins started at the 4. I already forgot that. Like, by the time this game ended, that was like so distant in my memory. He did that again. I don't understand that at all. Sophia, what are your thoughts on Wiggins of the 4? I mean, I was watching this game tonight, and one of the thoughts, the recurring thought for me was the Warriors look small. Like the Celtics had Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford out there at times together. When they're doing that, that means Jason Tatum is your 3. That means Jaylen Brown is your 2, whether it's Derek White or Drew Holiday at the 1. That's a big team. And when Wiggins is your 4, you have no shot to begin with. What are your thoughts on that, Sophia?
Yeah, I definitely saw the starting lineup come across the screen for this game, and a part of me was already pessimistic about how the game would turn out. But you just saw it every time the Celtics would pass the ball inside, because the smaller players, whether it would be Steph or GB2 or Schroeder, when they were guarding those bigger players, like even a Jaylen Brown, who's not like a big, but he's just taller. So even when you had that, and then everyone was just collapsing and doubling, and then that's how they got all these open threes. And everyone talks about turning like defense into offense. Well, when the Warriors aren't shooting the ball well, then they lose that defensive intensity as well. So the offense into defense aspect also struggled. And in mentioning with Wiggins starting at the 4, I mean, he underproduced tonight, and part of that is because he was out of position.
You're absolutely right. And someone in the chat, I think it was
GP2 was well started.
Well, and then there was someone in the chat, I think it was that same troll again, who apparently thinks that Steve Kerr and the Warriors can do no wrong. Asked who should have started. It's not complicated. Guy Santos. He did a great job starting there.
He just did a great job these past 2 games, and then Kerr basically gave him a DNP.
They
For
won.
what?
They
For
won
what?
it. I'm with you, man. They won. Like I don't understand why Kerr doesn't repeat things that are successful. Like it's like Moses Moody will have a great game. We won't even see him the next night. Guy Santos starts and they win. We see him on the bench the next game. I don't get any of this, man.
He did the same thing with Kuminga. Y'all forget he was giving Kuminga DMPs until Kuminga went to the media, was like, nah, get me up out of here. And then they switched it up and started playing him more. If it wasn't for that, Kerr still probably have Kuminga on the bench. This man has been a detriment to us for so long. He does do good jobs on some things like ATOs and some play calling. But when it comes to managing the game, making adjustments, putting the right players in, not taking Steph Curry out when he just hit 4 fucking threes in a row or some shit like that. Like, the shit he do don't make sense. And I got to kind of blame Curry because sometimes he say, no, I'm not coming out the game. But for you not to always be on that, talking about like, nah, this ain't right. I
hear you, Cam. We're gonna hear from Steve Kerr just to increase all of our blood pressure here a little bit. Before we go, any final thoughts, Cam? I love your energy, man. Love your energy. Bring it.
I'm gonna come back if I got time. I gotta think of my final thoughts, but I got shit to say. I appreciate you though, because you damn near the only one that's talking the right talk, saying the right things, just not stating the obvious, not just sugarcoating to be like it's on the players. Okay, yeah, the players do gotta step up. Curry and Draymond be having dumbass turnovers, so it's not all on. It is the players that sometimes, but he puts them in bad positions. Of course, it might be turnovers if you got hella small ass players on the court. You can't do what you're supposed to do. Just like when he had Trace Jackson playing on the bench and during the tournament games. We could have damn near won the tournament last year. They was playing great. Him and Paz and Draymond even said, we need the young guys. Kerr put them niggas back on the bench.
That's a good memory, dude. You're absolutely right, man. I was thinking the exact same thing in that Rockets loss. 100% with you. Cam, you're awesome, brother.
Salute to you, man. We need real people like you in the media. I'm gonna call you the new Grant Cohn because you're the only one that's keeping it real for the Warriors.
The only difference. I did not have a father who set me up in this business, man. I did this.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. How can we get you a media pass? We need to get you asking the questions.
I got credentialed, man. The only reason why I don't go more often is because I want to start these shows right away, and I can't do that if I'm at the arena. I go there sometimes.
No, we need you talking to Steve Kerr. We can wait for your podcast. We need you asking Kerr the real questions and then ask a follow-up question. Because the media don't.
Start doing that.
The media don't. Y'all do your thing.
Maybe I should start doing that, and maybe that'll grow the program more. I don't know. We'll see, man. Cam, I love you, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
I love y'all too, baby. Small.
Take care, man. Thank you, Cam. Look at that energy. I love it. The passion.
I know.
That's my kind of guy, dude. Sophia, what's your reaction to the? And that wasn't just energy and passion. That was good content.
No,
Sophia, what was your reaction to that?
No, he was speaking facts, just with a lot of Steve Kerr's rotations, and it kind of recalls. I know Steve Kerr has ties with FIBA basketball, and he takes some influence from European style coaching, and I've watched like my fair share of European basketball, and that's something that I've actually noticed over there is it's a trend to kind of, sub guys in and out and just go deep into benches and having the philosophy that any player could go off on a given night. And that could be a little bit of why Steve Kerr coaches the way that he does.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, there's a soundbite. I might even play it on tonight's show. The soundbite came from Eric Pascal. You folks remember him, and maybe it was Pascal. I can't remember how you pronounce his last name, but I'm sure a lot of folks remember him. Former second-round pick. He had an awesome rookie season. during that 2020 campaign when the Warriors won just 15 on the year. And then he's trying to make a comeback in his career. It's crazy. I'll find this soundbite and try to play it on today's show. But he talked about the biggest reason why he didn't stay with the Warriors. And a lot of it had to do with Steve Kerr's coaching philosophy and the fact that when Steve Kerr runs an offense, it's all about Steph. Like, it's like for example, like Pascal, I'll find that clip because Pascal talked about how, like, even if you have an open layup and you're going for it, the team wants you to pass that ball to Steph and shoot it. And look, it's a philosophy that worked for a lot of years, but at this point, you can't have Steph playing 40 minutes or even 35. You got to get other people involved. I'll find that clip in just a second. But for now, let's hear from Steve Kerr. This is him following the game. This is courtesy of KNBR Radio, my longtime former employee in the 2000s. And I love the fact that they're posting these because their audio is the best. Here he is, Steve Kerr, after the Warriors lost by 40 at home to the Boston Celtics.
At this point, I think it would be 7 of the next 8 at home. How large a stretch do you kind of view this for your season, trying to survive without Draymond and Jonathan, and just like how big is it to kind of, I guess, stabilize you?
I don't even think of the season in those terms. We just, we kind of take it week by week, and we've got Sacramento on Wednesday, and we've got to flush this one down the toilet and get ready for Sac. We've been very competitive all year, and our guys have fought, but we've had a handful of these where we just get blown out, and it's these are demoralizing. So most important thing to me is for our guys to forget this one, have a day off tomorrow, and then be ready to roll in Sacramento on Wednesday.
Sorry, I was muted there. We've heard that one before, Sophia. Your reaction to Steve Kerr's non-answer answer.
Yeah, it's like, because you don't want to let losses like this eat at you and just stick on it, because then you'll never be able to dig yourself out of that feeling. And so from a player standpoint, I can understand why he's saying and telling that they're not going to lose sleep over this one. However, when thinking about Sacramento coming up, that's a team that's been rolling recently. This isn't going to be just a cakewalk, so they're going to have to come ready and be on their P's and Q's. So, yeah, like you said, it was a very non-answer by Coach Kerr, but I'm sure, or maybe it's just something that, I don't know, sometimes it takes a wake-up call like this, but then it's also, they've had a couple of these losses where they're just either they're getting blown out and it's bad, or we look at the Raptors, I think it was last week, and like you're losing to a very poor team like that. So it's just something that, at what point do all of these pile up and you decide to change something?
Totally. And I want to address a couple of paid chats. I want to get to Spectrum Thoughts 2, dropping $5, asking or writing, as great as Steph is, he is loyal to dead weight. He has a major role in this mess as far as I'm concerned. And look, it's a valid point, at least based on the information that's been published in the media. What I'll add to that is, in a defense of Steph, because a few years ago, I interviewed him and I asked Steph myself, like, this was bad. This was the championship season. And I remember thinking that year, if this team just had a little more help in the front court, it would cement the championship. It would literally, it would just make a journey that could be more difficult a lot easier. And I asked Steph that because that was the season that Kevon Looney it was the first time we saw Kevon Looney as the starting center. And I remember that same year I had a back and forth with Steve Kerr where I asked Steve about the fact that the team did not have a traditional center on their roster. And his pushback was, well, I disagree. I think Kevon Looney is a traditional center. And I was like, okay, fair enough. But so then I asked Stephen Curry that same year, like, do you want this team to make a move to reinforce that front court to get you some help? His answer was unequivocally yes. He was like, I absolutely want that. And then he said, he brought some levity. He's like, if you want to go to the team and vouch for me, I'll do it. The point is, Stephen Curry is not the type of guy. It's just not who he is as a person to be confrontational, to be, to spend even more time that he does not have to meddle in the front office. Like, this is someone who does not have spare minutes in his life. All right. It is important to remind people he has 4 children. He has a wife. He has a professional basketball career. He has a media career. He has a shoe brand that has a huge important role in. Look, the family part of it alone. If you are an individual and you're supporting a family with 4 children and they're happy, that means you are committed. You are dedicating time. There are no moments in your life where you can just sit on the toilet and poop and look at your phone for an hour. Like, Stephen Curry does not have that luxury. If he has free time, he's probably napping to preserve his body, or he's working out. My point is, I get the frustration from Spectrum Thoughts too. I get it that his public comments have indicated that, he's on the side of the ownership. He's on the side of the team in terms of the inactivity. But in reality, I'm confident that he wants change as much as anyone else. But there's only so much he can do. That his job is not the GM of this team. He doesn't have that LeBron persona in him where, he gets proactive and threatens to leave. Like, this is a loyal individual who's happy in the Bay Area, and he wants change, but he's just not going to be the catalyst for it. Your thoughts on that, Sophia?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And just as someone similarly to Steph that grew up with a father that was, out there a lot, I guess we could say, you learn how to give the political answer from a very young age. And that is something that Stephen Curry has 100% perfected. And it's something that he has perfected a long, long, long time ago. And we're never gonna get a Anthony Edwards, maybe unfiltered type of answer that he's gonna have to go into his bank account and pay a couple fines for after.
Totally. And then DJ Iconic, great name, by the way, saying that Steve Kerr bringing up the Jason Tatum angle from the Olympics, saying Steve Kerr is a hater for not playing Tatum in the Olympics. I will say this, DJ Iconic, again, awesome name, even love the spelling. I was grateful that happened, because until the Jason Tatum minutes fiasco in the Olympics occurred, I feel like a lot of people looked at me when I kept bringing up Steve Kerr in the rotations and the minutes as a crazy person. Like, they looked at me as like this rogue outlier that he's just saying crazy things. He's the one guy that criticizes Steve Kerr for his minutes and his rotations. And then the world saw it in the Olympic stage. It's like, this is what he does. And I totally understand and feel you, DJ Iconic. Sophia, your reaction to Iconic's chat comment.
Yeah, it's hard not to think that Steve Kerr chose a strictly basketball reason for not playing Jason Tatum after he's coming off of winning an NBA championship and being one of the best players in the league. So that is definitely something that, it is difficult, though, at the same time, to coach that much talent. And when you have Steve Kerr and the way that he plays, sometimes it takes a little bit of tinkering to figure out who exactly is going to fit into your system. Jason Tatum, he's kind of someone that's a little bit more ball dominant. And he wanted the ball to move a lot, like we saw in the Olympics. We saw him sit Tyrese Halliburton as well. So he wasn't the only one.
Right. And following up on the chat here, Spectrum Thoughts 2 adding $2 saying that based on everything that was said, this means Draymond Green and Steve Kerr control this franchise. Take the Draymond part of it, and then you're 100% accurate. And this has been my gripe. Is Steve Kerr, he was a GM once upon a time with the Phoenix Suns. That did not end well. And Steve Kerr, early in his tenure with the Golden State Warriors, was exclusively a head coach, and things were working out great. Around 2020, I don't know what happened, but he started meddling. He started getting involved in like draft picks. Like, he was like, people love to point the finger at Joe Lacob for the James Wiseman pick. Do not delude yourself in thinking that Steve Kerr was not heavily involved in that. He's publicly come out and said that he gave the endorsement. We all heard Anthony Edwards' comments about where Steve Kerr attended Edwards' private workout in Georgia. Again, Steve Kerr's not doing that. He's not going to those lengths if he's not heavily involved in all of these decisions. And that is a problem. If this team, in my opinion, if this team went back to how things were, where you had a GM that made these decisions and you had a coach that accepted them and did his job based on what the GM provided, I think this ship would still be heading in a good direction. But Steve Kerr has really taken control when it comes to personnel, and we're seeing the result of that. It's not good. I want to play this soundbite, unless you have anything to add to that, Sophia. And I know this is a very tough show for you to be on tonight. I commend you because I know I say things that can be. I don't say things that are ever like for clickbait. I don't ever say things that. I don't sensationalize for effect, right? But at the same time, I also don't play the corporate game. So I really commend you for rolling with my punches. You're awesome, Sophia. You're going to be a superstar in this someday. And anything you want to add to everything we've said so far?
Yeah, I think it just it also just makes you think back and appreciate Mark Jackson a little bit. And when you're thinking about when the Warriors were really in that prime, and we're talking about dynasty, like dynasty for real, it was that team and the style of play kind of that Mark Jackson helped build that Steve Kerr just took off. And so Steve Kerr still had to do his part in taking that team to win championships. But from ground up, it was really Mark Jackson that built a lot of that. So I think it just is another thing to give more credit to him.
Totally. The Mark Jackson. And even look, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they will echo what you just said. That they and this is where like I'm not as glued on Steve Kerr staying with the team as much as a lot of people are because of the relationship he has with Stephen Curry. Steph was bummed. Klay was bummed when the team moved on from Mark Jackson. Like that was not a fun situation, but they adapted. They're adults. And I realistically, I don't think Steve Kerr is going anywhere. But all I'm trying to say here is if the team did make that kind of decision, Steph would be fine. Okay. Like he's not going to demand a trade. He's not going to melt down. He would be okay. And he would play for a new coach. It would be all right. Now, I don't agree with Muhammad Alavi that Doc Rivers is the answer. I'm definitely not suggesting that either. But they would be okay if they moved on. I talked about this Eric Paschall attribution, former Golden State Warriors a rookie. He played some meaningful minutes in 2020, and then he got traded a year later, inexplicably. And he did this interview recently where he talked about his time with the Golden State Warriors. I think this is a very interesting clip. Sophia, I cannot wait to get your reaction to this. He was on a show called Entirely NBA, and here is Eric Paschall talking about his time with the Warriors and why he didn't work out playing for Steve Kerr. Here is Paschall.
Look at me as mini Draymond. I like to score. And me mentally at that point, I couldn't do it. I'm going in there thinking like, all right, I got my chance. Right. So I'm just hooping. Steph and them come back, and Dre was hurt early in the season. But I couldn't play with Steph early in the season. I'm still going to do me. Like, y'all see what I did last year. Also, I'm thinking, but I can't do that because I'm on the floor with Steph all the time. I ended up asking to come off the bench. I was not wired to set a screen, pass up an open shot. Like if I'm open, I'm shooting it. Right. I'll never forget this. Draymond passes to me. I hit it. But Steph is on the baseline. The next TV timeout comes. This is why I fuck with Draymond, because it was just so real. Like, it was just real. Yo, look, you made the shot, but you got the best shooter in the world on that baseline. Set that pin in. I said, you know what, Dre? I'm not even mad at you. I made the shot. It's a good shot. I'm glad you made it. But you got the Steph. Next time, kick out. Set that pin in. Y'all can look at me.
That to me is kind of crazy, Sophia. What was your reaction to Draymond Green? I mean, look, he says there was some levity there, but what's your reaction to the fact that Eric Paschall makes an open jumper and the team his teammates aren't like, yay, they're like, Steph was wide open. That's kind of crazy to me. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, as a former player, I have to think of it in like the context of everything as well. And so was it a situation where Steph was really hot that game? And if so, yes, go back to him. And I wouldn't be mad at it. But it's just about knowing your place, I guess. And it's one of those things where it is understandable for players like him to say that they don't want to mold into a specific role that a coach is trying to make them play into. It's understandable if you're open for a shot, but they want you to pass it up. No one really likes to play that way for real. But to a certain extent, when you do have enough players that buy into that and just really do that role extremely, extremely well and solid, that's how you get some championship teams. So yes, while individually sometimes guys are happier and maybe they're not winning as much, but they're playing how they want to play. And other times they're in a role that they don't necessarily want to be in and are winning. So it's a very tricky position for players, but I probably wouldn't be mad at Draymond if he told me that. And I was playing. I don't know. I was just saying like I got 2 points, increase my field goal percentage, whatever, but he does have a point there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not sitting here saying he's wrong. I mean, the season he's talking about was 2021, where, in my opinion, and I've advocated for this hardcore, I'm still pissed off about it. Like, I really think the 2021 version of Stephen Curry deserved the MVP. And he was killing it that season. Like, it was, when you look at the numbers, the only reason why he didn't win MVP, and Jokic, I think, won his first that season, was because the Warriors finished 8th in the standings that year. That was the logic that was presented from the media who actually had a vote. And to which I respond, Jokic, I think, won an MVP as a 6 seed. So 8 is too far out, but 6 is okay. The numbers Steph put up that season were so absurd. He was single-handedly carrying the Warriors that season. It was amazing. It was poetry on a basketball court. So when Steph is playing like that, and Eric Pascal just cannot understand that you need to set up the offense for him, I could get it. I get it. I also understand his perspective, which is, like, he probably played his entire life as the center, the focal point of an offense, right? He was the star on most of the teams he was on, and now he's a role player. And that could be difficult as well. So, by the way, did it look weird to you? Like, he doesn't look like the same guy. I don't know if like the years have not been kind to him. I think he's only in his mid-20s, but Sophia, did that even look like Eric Pascal to you? Like, that seemed weird to me. I don't know.
I think the quality just maybe wasn't very high.
That too. Yeah, he's trying to make a comeback in basketball. I think he's playing in Europe right now. Good luck to him. I also saw a chat comment from someone. I missed it. I didn't highlight it, but they were saying that sometimes I'm difficult to watch because I call people trolls or I have disagreements. And look, I'm not going to call you a troll. All I will say is the person that I did call a troll was name calling in the chat. I'm not going to call anyone a troll who has a differing opinion. When you start name calling, I will call you a troll. I think the person's name was Gene. Gene, I'm not calling you a troll. But if you're name calling or if you're spamming, I will call you a troll, because that's literally what the definition of the word means. And on top of that, Gene, I post the link in the chat. You're welcome to come on the program. I don't think there's any evidence of me like being disrespectful to anyone in a face-to-face, in an interpersonal manner. It's just when there's little text boxes and the words in those boxes have insults or spam content. Yes, I would say that's what an online troll does. Otherwise, come on the show. Like, you'll be surprised how much more fun it could be than the actual perception that you're getting from these chat posts. Cam is still there, brother. Cam, do you want to come back? Give me a thumbs up if you're just chilling there. If you want to come back. Do you want to come back on, Cam?
Pascal just cannot.
He's on delay. He's on delay. That's why. Okay. All right. Forget it. He's enjoying the show. I thought Ryan Leong was going to join us, but we're running late here. I guess we're going to miss him tonight, or he's really busy collecting sound of the Celtics. That's his usual job there. So we'll start wrapping it up here without Ryan Leong, and that's okay. Any final thoughts, Sophia? Are there any? We didn't do this. Let's do this real fast. Our player of the game for tonight, and this is a bad one because there wasn't a single Warriors player that has scored over 20 points in tonight's loss. 125-85. The Warriors losing by 40. But it's got to be Stephen Curry. I mean, he's I don't know. Sophia, I'll leave it up to you. Like, Stephen Curry had 27 points 27 minutes of playing time. He was 6 of 16 from the field. He was 4 of 12 from beyond the arc. So by his standards, the three-point shot was not up to his level of excellence, only hitting 33.3% of his threes. Still passable. You can live with that. But by his standards, not the best. 18 points in this game, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. The other option is Moses Moody. Moody got 31 minutes, 47 seconds of playing time tonight. Wouldn't surprise me if that was a career high. I don't know that for certain. He was 5 of 13 from the field. He was 3 of 9 from beyond the arc. He added 6 rebounds. He added 5 assists, had a block, had a steal. So a 13-point, 6 rebound, 5 assist night from Moses Moody, or an 18-point, 4 assist, 3 rebound night from Stephen Curry. Who should be our Underdog Fantasy player of the game, Sophia? I'll leave that decision up to you.
Yeah, I would honestly give it to Moses Moody. I felt like I saw just a lot of energy and all-around play. I know, like, the points always stands out for a lot of people, but the rebounds and assists for Moody is something that I love to see. And the defense that he played as well. He, just taking those matchups against the Jaylen Brown and the Jason Tatum, like, that's not easy at all. So I would give it to Moses Moody.
There you go. So Moses Moody is our Underdog Fantasy player of the game. And again, all you have to do in regards to the Underdog Fantasy aspect of it, if you want to get some free money, if you want to get a free pick, all you have to do is use the promo code GSW. Sophia, look, you represent the younger generation. I'm 46 years old. I'm over double your age. So you tell me, if Underdog Fantasy becomes a sponsor of your program, is that as big of a deal as I think it is, or am I being an old, out-of-touch son of a bitch?
I don't think you could ever be. No, I think that's awesome. Me personally, I'm not very tapped into all the betting world, but I don't know. It always sounds so fun when you describe it. So I think that Underdog is a huge, is a very, very, very nice sponsor.
It's a big deal. And it's a really fun app. It's legal in California. And again, even though I lost money tonight, I still had fun. So we're going to wrap up the show here. Cam Jones, thank you, brother. Thank you very much for the kind words. I think my parents, if I am aging well, I don't know if I am, but one last thing. A few people in the chat brought up Julian Bashir included, Quentin Post. We did talk about him at the beginning of the show. One more time, his stat line, he played 13 minutes, 45 seconds. I'm guessing that's a career high for him. I don't know for sure. 9 points, only 1 rebound. I would like to see more in that category, but the guy's so young. He's so inexperienced. Added 3 assists. He was 1 of 4 from deep. I know you covered this earlier, Sophia, but we'll finish up the show with this. Your final analysis on Quentin Post and this game as a whole. Your thoughts?
Yeah, from Quentin Post, I was just happy to see him play and get some minutes. Like I mentioned earlier, I was definitely satisfied with what I saw. I do think that there are still more growing pains that he'll have to work out. There are certain times on the court where it just appeared like he was overthinking a tad. So that's just getting into the flow and on the NBA court with his teammates. So something that will definitely come. But for the game as a whole, I don't even know. I don't know. The biggest thing for me was just those offensive droughts when no one could buy a bucket. I felt like those were the story of the game.
The offense part of this is what's so painstaking. Just watching this team, there was a stretch in this, I think it was the second quarter, and I have it in my notes, where like Dennis Schroeder, again, I mentioned this earlier, he got locked down by Al Horford's defense. Like, that was absurd. Like, Al Horford should not be locking down any guard on your team, especially Dennis Schroeder, who you traded for as a backup point guard, as a secondary ball handler. If he can't beat Horford, like, what's going on there? And then Buddy Hield, who, again, your analysis was spot on in terms of him being a catch and shoot scorer. That is efficient. Him trying to score off the dribble, not very efficient. And there are moments where, like, he just looks lost out there, Sophia. Like, Like, do you see that as well? Like, any final thoughts on Buddy Hield?
Yeah, just it looks like he's just not as confident and comfortable in his shot where before like he was getting looks and stepping into it and then knocking them down, but now I don't know if it's the people that are setting the screens, because I know we talk a lot about the front court size. Having bigs that can set solid screens is such an underrated quality. So it could be something along those lines. He's just not getting as open, or just within the flow of the offense, things are more stagnant, or like I said, also he's putting the ball on the ground a little more than he should instead of just pulling.
Yeah, this team needs a trade. This team needs to do something. The complacency, the inactivity is probably the most maddening part. I've never been okay with just doing nothing when something isn't going right, but to watch this operation is it's frustrating. Let's go around the association and we're done. Sophia, do you want some music to go along with this?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, let's pump some beats as we wrap up the show here. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone. Very important holiday for this nation. Any thoughts? Anything you want to share about the significance of this holiday? I mean, your dad is just literally a genius when it comes to articulation, and he had some eloquent words. I don't know if you have anything you want to add in terms of the significance of this holiday, but it's important. It's an important day. I think so, at least.
Yeah, just for someone as significant as Dr. King and for what he stood for in equality, and not just equality for Black people, but for any type of minority groups, just to experience the same treatment and integration, and to just everyone be in a cohesive, loving society is something that I definitely think should be commemorated every single year, because it's not just Black and white that he was fighting for, it's really everyone. And so that's why watching the TNT commemoration, I thought it was really bright. So it was really beautiful, and definitely something to always remember this holiday, and for what Dr. King stood for and what we can do to still advance his ideologies.
Well said. Very well said. All right, let's go through the scoreboard, and then we will call it a night. There were a lot of games, as is the case, as is the tradition on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Thankfully, and look, when we go through the scores and we go through the standings, this is probably going to be the best positivity that will be presented to the Warriors. Case in point, despite losing tonight, despite having numerous blowout losses, despite a slide that's been going on for 2+ months, that hot start, that 12-3 start, was so important, because even though the team looks bad right now, you look at the standings, they're only 2 games behind the Lakers for the 6 seed. They're only 3.5 games behind the Clippers for the 5 seed. They're only 5 games behind the Nuggets for the 4 seed. So all it would look like the Warriors' next opponent, for example, is going to be the Sacramento Kings, who have won 9 of 10. They were left for dead before that sudden surge. And the Sacramento Kings, if you look at the standings, are now 8th. They were a team that no one thought could do anything this year. They're now 2 games above 500, and they're 8th in the standings. If the Warriors pull off a run like that, they're going to be 4th or 5th, which is also, again, why I get so frustrated that the team's doing nothing. Ryan Leong, real fast, is going to join us. But Ryan, we're at the end of the show. Is there? How was it? We got the view here. Sorry about that. How was and he comes to us live from Chase Center with that beautiful background. How was the Celtics post-game locker room? Were they as happy as I imagine?
Oh yeah, they were fine. It just took a while. Took a while to get showered. They were watching the national championship game at one end of the, inside the locker room. They got one TV set up. So then we were set up on the other end where they get all the towels for players and stuff after they come out of the shower.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we were. Hi, Sophia. Nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you.
What was your reaction, Ryan, to the game itself? I mean, I was critical of the stands, of the crowd. I mean, there isn't much to cheer about, but I want to hear boos. I want to hear them care instead of just sitting there accepting this. Like, what did you see from the crowd?
I mean, apathy. What are you going to say when your team is down like 45
Boo!
points? Well, yeah, you could do that too. But I mean,
Yes.
the Warriors were never in this game, man. It was like they were just hungover or something. I don't know. You know, it's like they weren't awake.
Fire the coach!
I don't know about that. I tweeted.
Make a trade.
Did you see my tweet in the private chat?
No. Oh no. Let's go to that.
Okay. So well.
Yeah. So Ryan Leong is available on Twitter, and he tweeted this funny meme. I'll share it with the audience because why not? Summing up the Warriors game. Is that from the movie Network?
No, Hardcore.
Hardcore. Okay, gotcha. That's old school, man.
Yeah.
That's old school. I like it.
Yeah.
What was your reaction? I mean, like, are the Warriors dead in the water? Like, was it just another blowout that they're going to forget about 2 days from now? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's obvious they missed Draymond. I mean, without Draymond Green, this team just has no rudder. And then they just struggle so badly. I mean, it's pretty obvious to everybody watching the Warriors, even if you're not a Warriors fan. It's Steph plus everybody else, or Steph is carrying the entire team. You know,
Fire Kerr! Do you realize like all it would take is one fan to literally be a catalyst for legitimate change in that arena? Just one person. Boo! That's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Instead of drinking wine and cheese and just sitting there, do something, say something, bring the passion. June Adolfo in the chat saying, "I was there at Chase." Well,
not that June. Not only
I was
that,
there
too,
at that game too.
I was also there, but today's game too. There was a lot of Celtics fans here. There were a lot of Celtics fans in section 127, which is right to the right of the media section.
Right. Absolutely.
A lot of Celtics fans, man. And it reminded me of back in the day when the Warriors used to play the Lakers. In the days when they had Shaq and Kobe, and all the fans came out to watch those guys, and the Warriors were basically the sidelight, you know? Yeah,
you know what's funny, Ryan? Like, you and I go back so long, and this is a huge reason why I have such disdain for, like, the media today is because you and I, you were covering the team since 98. I started covering the Warriors in 2000.
Yeah.
In those days, Raymond Ritter was the head of PR even back then.
Yeah.
He was practically begging us to come to that arena and to
well,
cover
he wasn't begging me so much because I was working for a different affiliation at the time, but I'll never forget that one of my famous moments was the Warriors had just signed Larry Hughes. This is how OG I'm going back, Sophia. Larry Hughes. And NBA Entertainment was in the locker room, and Raymond goes up to me and says, "Hey, Ryan, why don't you ask Larry a couple questions?" Because there was nobody there to talk to him. So I basically, came up with some stuff, ask him, but yeah, I mean, I've been around as long as Raymond's been with the Warriors. So,
yeah, dude, and it's so fun. They like the Warriors used to be desperate for coverage, man. It's crazy. And then the dynasty happened, and then you have all these new shows popping up with people who think they know anything. It's insane. So the whole point, the main reason I don't even know why I brought that up anymore. Let's go through the scoreboard as we wrap this show up. Ryan, I apologize that we're wrapping up as you join us right now.
It just took me forever in the locker room. It's all good, man.
Look at Rich Dubb. Good call. Like Rich Dubb in the audience saying he remembers when I was answering phones for KNBR. I was Gary Radnich's producer. That's probably, I'm guessing, where the phone call you answered was when I was running Gary's show. Those are the days, man. Very different times back then. Let's go through the NBA scoreboard as we wrap it up because a lot of games were going on. The entire reason why I even brought up the standings and the fact that the Warriors are just 2 games back of the Lakers for the 6th seed, which would get them into the playoffs, is because they're not the only team that's reeling. The Phoenix Suns, they got their asses kicked tonight, 118-92. Granted, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers. Granted, it was in Cleveland. But the Phoenix Suns have a big 3, and I'm going to look up their box score right now. Side note, I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Bill Simmons who said that Phoenix Suns have the worst big 3 in NBA history. Kevin Durant played. Devin Booker played. Bradley Beal played. So their big 3 played, and they still lost by a final score. One more time, 118-92. That is a 30-point loss? Do I have my math right? 26? Whatever it is. That's a blowout. Sophia, things could be worse, right? Like, would you rather be a Warriors fan right now or a Suns fan? Because the Warriors at least have an excuse. They got injuries. What's the Suns' excuse? What are your thoughts?
No, exactly like you said. At least as a Warriors fan, we can say, well, our people are hurt. Phoenix can't really say the same.
Yeah, Ryan, how bad is the situation in Phoenix in your opinion? Because you have a big three and you're this bad. That's a problem. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, when the Suns were here last, we talked to KD in the locker room, and he understood. He kept saying that he understands he's getting all the pressure to try to make things happen for a Suns team that has plenty of talent. But yeah, man. I mean the Suns. But again, though, it's still early enough. You can't really. I think it's too early to hit the panic button. But yeah, the Suns are right at 500. So I don't know. I mean, that's why everybody's kind of looking forward to seeing what's going to happen if teams are going to do something on February 6th when the trade deadline comes.
It's you're right. Yeah, the trade deadline. You're right. We're just 2 weeks and change away. It is crazy. The clock is officially ticking, and the Phoenix Suns reportedly they're trying to get rid of a Yusuf Nurkic. Nobody wants him. The Suns reportedly try to trade Nurkic to the Bulls to get Vucevic back, and the Bulls are like, "Why would we want that? Like, what are you out of your minds?" Like, anyway, so the Suns, it could be worse. Dub Nation was my whole point there. The New York Knicks winning 119-110 at the Garden. They beat the Atlanta Hawks, who usually have a good time playing at Madison Square Garden. Not this evening. Jalen Brunson, 34 points, 6 assists in the win. Trae Young, 27 points, 6 assists, 3 steals in the loss. The Knicks improved to 28-16. The Hawks dropped to 22-20. Sophia, my one concern with the New York Knicks, I love this team. And they're really fun to watch. I'm a massive Jalen Brunson fan. The Karl Anthony Towns trade clearly resulted in success for that team. Side note, it was just a year and change ago last offseason when I was saying on this program, the previous iteration of it, that Karl Anthony Towns was the best option out there for the Golden State Warriors. A good number of you scoffed at that. I don't see you scoffing now. But the Knicks, with that said, Sophia, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the Tom Thibodeau treatment. The minutes are heavy for some of these players. If I was a Knicks fan, I would be concerned about how fresh and durable they're going to be come April. With that said, besides that, things are looking good there. What are your thoughts, Sophia, on the Knicks?
Yeah, that's definitely always a concern, but I would also say that technology and research for injury prevention and injury treatment, and then just overall recovery in general, has taken a lot of leaps. And yeah, so hopefully the guys there are doing their cryotherapy or on a lovely device called the Game Ready. That's like compression and ice and all, getting dry needle, just all of that. They're just doing it all.
Totally. By the way, our audience member Cam, who is still with us behind the scenes, he's hanging out in the virtual green room of the show, and we now know his Twitter handle. I hope this is correct. It's @BlackLove3E, and he wants people to check out his Twitter account to click on a fundraiser now, which I don't know how serious this is, because the title of the fundraiser is down here. It says, "House is on fire. Save Curry's career. Stop Kerr's small ball. Organized by Cameron Jones." So the crisis is a house on fire, and it's metaphorical. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that the Warriors right now are in a burning house that's desperate need of saving. So I mean, that's kind of a bad analogy given what's been happening in Southern California. But yeah, things are not going well right now.
Oh yeah. I already did. Damn it, God, Ryan, you had to bring up the LA thing. We would have been fine without that. You're right. The tweet now has some insensitivity to it. I completely forgot about that. Sophia, did Cam go too far with that tweet because of the LA fires?
It could have been done at a different time.
Yeah.
Well said. So we'll move on. Cam, it was a good attempt, though. Until the SoCal fires were brought up, I was rolling with it. I was loving it. But the timing may be a week or two off. Finishing up the scoreboard here on MLK Day. A great game earlier. The Memphis Grizzlies squeaking out a win over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Memphis, 108-106. The final there. Desmond Bane, 22 points, 6 rebounds in the win. Naz Reid, the typical Warriors killer, though not this year, 29 points, 8 rebounds in the loss. Memphis improves to 28-16. The Timberwolves drop to 23-21. And just to add some positivity for the Warriors, they've shown they can beat both those teams. This is what, look, halftime of the TNT broadcast tonight had a very interesting back and forth between Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. Charles Barkley echoed what I've been saying for months, which is that the Western Conference it's stacked, but parity is very much in play. There is no one team that owns the conference. I know OKC has that best record. They're going to finish with home court throughout the playoffs probably, but their model is just replicating what the Warriors have been doing for 10 plus years. If anyone is a master of small ball, it's the Golden State Warriors. And so even Memphis is near the top. The Warriors have beaten them. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the Warriors have beaten them. Sophia, is that a reason why there's still a reason to hold out hope for this Golden State Warriors squad?
100%. And especially you can't ignore the championship pedigree that the roster and staff has as well. You can play as well as ever in the regular season, but the playoffs are completely different. It's an entirely changed atmosphere. So, and those teams that you've mentioned are all unproven in the playoffs right now. The Warriors are. So definitely something that if the Warriors can just get in maybe an okay speeding, things could still look up.
I love it. And Ryan, to add to what Sophia was saying, the Houston Rockets are second in the West. Memphis, third in the West. The Warriors have already proven they can beat these two teams. Both those squads have virtually no postseason experience. That is why I'm still holding out hope. I agree with Barkley that this team needs to make a trade to salvage what's being lost here. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Oh, no question. I mean, like we said, I mean, the Warriors still have a few more weeks to figure it out, but it looks like they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to, go for the green light on a trade.
Dude, look at this. We have Nicholas Kerr joining us. Well, welcome. Wow, look at we're winning over Steve's son. It's Nicholas, by the way. Nobody calls you Nick. Moving on. Oh, dude, I just closed my scoreboard. God damn it. Sorry. Moving on here as we finish up the scoreboard for tonight. The Houston Rockets, speak of the devil, they lost at home tonight to the Detroit Pistons. I like that team. 107-96 the final. Cade Cunningham living up to the number one pick stature. 32 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists in the win. Fred VanVleet, 20 points, 6 steals in the loss. The Warriors can beat the Rockets, right? If they were in a 7-game playoff series, Sophia?
I definitely think that they could. They've done it a lot of times. I think that there'll be a lot of Rockets fans in the arena, maybe extra motivated, but also maybe having some flashbacks to 27 missed threes, straight missed threes.
Ryan, you would agree that the Warriors can beat the Rockets in a playoff series, right?
Yeah, sure. I think so. I mean, not right now. The problem again is until they get a guy who can either kind of pick up the slack for Draymond and JK, I mean, they got problems, man. I mean, they don't have any kind of rebounding presence right now. And, we talked about the lack of participation from Kevon Looney, but, man, this team they're just struggling. I don't know what else to say, They really got to figure out a way to try to get it going, especially somewhere in the defensive end for the Warriors. They've got to figure out a way to start getting some rebounding because they just don't have it.
Yeah, they got out-rebounded tonight 50-38. They lost the points in the paint battle tonight 52-26. They got slaughtered on the inside. So, and this is all the more reason why being inactive with your personnel is drawing the ire of so many people. Yeah. Moving on, we're almost done here. One other final, and that's the Dallas Mavericks losing to the Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte. A lot of upsets tonight. 110-105. LaMelo Ball, 23 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Daniel Gafford, 31 points, 15 rebounds, 7 blocks. Gafford and PJ Washington of the Mavericks. Side note, a perfect example of why you do pull a midseason trade. Those two were required in midseason deals a year ago, and the Mavericks improved drastically as a result. So I hear some rhetoric from folks that you can't do a midseason trade. You're not going to get better. Yes, you can. The Mavericks proved that already. And 2 other games that are either going on or will start tonight. The Utah Jazz, they have a lot of players. I didn't even take John Collins right now. He's available. They're leading the Pelicans 48-27 in New Orleans, and the Bulls are at the Clippers later this evening. Hopefully, we can say that the Bulls have future Golden State Warrior Nikola Vucevic. Ryan Leong, any final thoughts as we wrap up the show?
No, it's great to see Sophia, and I've been following your dad for years, obviously. In homage to your dad, you probably don't remember.
Oh, I forgot to do that today.
Yeah, I knew you forgot to ask him. See, I knew it.
I forgot to do that today. Sophia, I don't even know what that means. Do you know what that means?
No, she probably doesn't remember either.
Okay, wait. I think, was it something on when he used to do like a studio show?
That's
I
right.
think he told me the story. Obviously, I wasn't alive.
Yeah, he would host the NBA Today, and as they went to black on the lights, he would go like this and do.
I didn't see that either, Sophia. I'm impressed you still knew that, despite the fact that you never saw it. Good knowledge. Sophia, any final reaction from you?
Just that as bad as this loss was for the Warriors, at least some of the other teams in the Western Conference have lost tonight.
Yeah,
exactly. There's still something here, man. This is why I'm not giving up hope. And all I can personally hope for is that the Warriors will make a trade, that they're being very selective, which again, the talk is ticking, but yeah, don't give up hope is all I'm trying to say. There's still a season here to salvage, but yeah.
Well, I got a question for Sophia. Can we get you out here to cover a game?
Oh, I do a lot of broadcasting for University of San Francisco men and women's basketball. So I've been trying to get to more Warriors games. Right now it's a little slow, but I would love to.
Yeah. Cyrus, make it happen, man.
Well, again, the All-Star game, Sophia, I emailed you the application, so we might roll there together if we get approved. And we already talked about if Sophia's available. I mean, who knows what will happen by that point, but we've talked about the fact that at least for Valkyrie's games, we'll definitely do post-game shows from the arena for that.
Cool.
Yeah, and I might start coming, Ryan. I don't know, man. Maybe it is time for me to start showing up to Chase. You know what my biggest obstacle is right now is cost. It's like parking is a bitch. Like, Ryan, like you work, I think you have a day job.
I got a secret where I park. I park in the street, but there are some places you can park for free,
All right, maybe we could talk about that, because $40 for every game, that's a little steep, man.
I pay this for parking, okay?
All right, we'll talk. I can't thank the audience enough, as always. Good and bad, you make things interesting. So thank you to everyone. Again, you can follow Sophia Jones on Twitter at @SophiaJones_2. You can follow Ryan Leong on Twitter at Ryan Leong. I think we're good. Are we done? Anything else to add?
Well, Sophia, I'm following you on Twitter now. Hopefully you can follow me back.
Oh my gosh, of course. I'll definitely go and look.
Great.
Awesome. All right, you guys. And we'll be back at this very soon at the absolute latest, Warriors Kings, but Wednesday mornings with Damon Bruce. That's a thing. We're always active, and let's hope for a trade. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you to the audience. I think we're good. Bye-bye.